Hello, this is Ask the Expert, and I'm your host, Patty Nuovo, and I'm very happy today to introduce our guest. Her name is Vicki Reiner. She is a clairvoyant, teacher, reader, healer, and welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do? What is a clairvoyant?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance means clear seeing. It's actually beginning to open the eye of spirit. And clairvoyance is a term that usually speaks of opening this third eye that people talk about. It's often termed the sixth chakra. It's also the third eye, the eye of spirit. A lot of people talk about it that way. We use it all the time. It's not an unusual place. It's not a mysterious thing. It's not a, woo-woo event in some ways, though it seems like it. We actually use our clairvoyance all the time. Artists, architects, people who work in the visual arts are opening that center, that visual center all the time. And what I do is I begin to work with it not in an outward viewpoint, but in an inward viewpoint. So when you may decide as a spirit that you want to start to go within and find the roadmap of your soul, that's partly what I do. I'm a guide to take you through that. Another word for the clairvoyant, some people use the word intuitive, because when you are accessing the information of that third eye, you're in your intuition. It's also your imagination. It's pretty much the same space. People don't recognize that, but that's what it is.
Vicki, you just used a term before when you said chakra, when you were talking about the third eye. Can you explain what chakras are and how many are there and where they're located? You mentioned one right here.
Sure. Basically, the chakra are energy centers, and they're recognized in a lot of modalities. The Eastern philosophies recognize the chakras a lot. Acupuncture is based on these ideas of energy that we really can't quite pinpoint yet, but they're there. They're actually wheels of light. That's what the term means. And they're throughout the body. We have 7 major chakras in the body. And top of the head, the 6th chakra, the 5th chakra, that's our communication. The 4th chakra, that's it's our affinity with ourself. The 3rd chakra is our solar plexus, the place of will, the place of our, kind of where our electrical impulses are to run the body. It's also then the 2nd chakra in your gut, your belly, that's your emotional information. And then it's the 1st chakra is at the base of the spine, and that's your tribal information, your fight or flight, your survival information. Those are the 7 major chakras of the body. They're small, maybe the size of the dime when people see it, when clairvoyants like myself can look. We see it that way. They're wheels of light. They move. They're constantly in action. They have lots and lots of information as a soul. Sometimes we have information all around us, but we can't always pull all of it into this body. This body is almost too small a vehicle for how big we are as spirits, as souls. So these wheels of light interact between spirit and body, between the outer world and the inner world.
Now, as a healer, do you work with all of them?
Yes, always. Then, of course, there are chakras that are outside of the body, the transpersonal points, which I won't bother going into.
Okay. So now,
And there are minor chakras as well.
Okay. If you have would you call it a blockage? Is that what you're trying to do, is to help unblock the blockage in those energy centers?
Yes. One of the theories in what I do, one of the operating ideas in what I do, is that when I look at people, what I can see is that we all have our own energy. Our own energy has all of our own information. So when we run our energy through our body, which we do all the time, it's how we move, it's how we do anything. We are literally running our own information, our own energy through our body. If we take on somebody else's energy, which is a very common practice in the world, there's nobody without that, But if you take it on and it stays there for too long, it can become a blockage because it's not your information. It's somebody else's. Someone else's energy becomes a block in your space. So when someone comes to me, sometimes I work on a table. I'll do hands-on healings where I'll be touching, and I'll literally just be looking to see. I can feel it as well as touch it. And I'll be moving the energy through the body. And I'll be asking that person, most of the time as a spirit, sometimes in the body, if they're ready to move that energy out. I'll see what's there that's not theirs. So it's basically a process oftentimes of removing the energy that's not theirs so they can begin to bring their own energy back in and get back in motion. In motion is a way of literally being in conversation with the body so you can receive your information.
Now, Vicki, as an intuitive, do you know automatically where that blockage is, or like do you see it? Or
Yes.
do you feel it, or how does that work? Or do you just check them all, and then if you get stuck on one, you know that that's the one?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. When somebody comes to me for a reading, because there's different ways in which I work. So when someone comes to me for a reading, they'll basically sit down in front of me, very simple process. They keep their eyes open. I close mine, because I'm going to start to go within. I'm going to access this part of me that has information from this intuitive realm. It's a very light thing. I'll just be in trance. I can talk. It's not a big deal. And then I'll simply ask them as a spirit to show me. I really ask them to show me. They'll ask me a question, and I'll look, where's your answer? And they show me someplace. And then I just begin to read it back. If I don't see it, I don't say it. I'm not making it up. So I'll see it. And they will literally show me where the blockage is. And then I can usually read what it is. Oh, it was your father when you were 3. You know, sometimes they'll show me a picture or an incident, and I can read it to them. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. Do you remember that? And then we can look and see, oh, you're ready to release it. Out.
Is it like reading a ticker tape almost?
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
they're transmitting that information, and you're just
Yes.
reading it.
Yes, I'm just really, X-ray vision. It's kind of what I say sometimes. So it's really that simple in some respects. It's literally, we can move energy so fast. Things that we think that have been blocking us forever, sometimes it can be so simple. I just look at it and say, oh, that was not your pain. You took on your mother's pain when she was hurt, and you stored it right over here in this shoulder. And you start to move it, and then literally sometimes people go, oh my God, I can feel it. It can be that simple. Sometimes it'll take longer. Sometimes they're not ready.
Now, the blocks you had mentioned is if you have you've picked up someone else's energy. Mm-hmm. Can you have a blockage if it's your own energy?
No.
Okay, so it's always if it's outside of yourself?
It's always, well, it's outside energy, but it's inside you.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Now, can you explain how to unblock it, or is that your magic?
Well, it's an interesting process that happens, because the premise that I work under is that if you heal the spirit heals the body. And when I work that way, basically, there's a couple ways that you can unblock. Sometimes somebody just needs information. They've been dealing with it forever, doing a good job most of the time too, managing life. But there'll be something maybe they've been working on for a long time, or something's happening. Maybe it comes up as a physical ailment or something else. So they'll come to me, I'll look at it. Sometimes when I just simply tell them what it is, it's the information, and they go, oh my God, you're right. It's the aha that connects the points, and that begins to move the energy automatically. I'm sometimes not doing anything except being the vehicle to touch it by voice, touch it by communication of some kind. Spirit to spirit. I call my group or my business spirit to spirit communication, because that's what I'm doing, is speaking spirit to spirit.